Hey everyone, Mr. Happy, and welcome to Mondays with Mr. Happy, aka Mr. Happy Mondays, the weekly Q&A show where you ask me questions and I answer them. I'm gonna be honest, I want this one to be shorter than last week. Not just because last week's was way too long, but because I'm actually recording this Saturday night. Sunday, I just straight up won't have time to record it because I'm trying to play Wayfinder if the login would let me in. I have Top Reprog, where we're on Phase 5, and we have a few hours of that. And then I am doing a Baldur's Gate 3 campaign. I had no intention of playing or buying Baldur's Gate 3, not when the idea was just playing a solo campaign, because quite frankly, I don't need a 100+ hour game in my life right now with all the releases I have coming up between Armored Core, Sea of Stars, Ever Crisis, the Pokemon DLC, Lies of P, Dragon Quest has the anime game. I think that's like end of September, then 6.5. It's just not of interest. However, a co-op campaign should be a lot shorter. And as such, I was okay. And besides, I get to play with friends. And the first session was hilarious. I am trying to edit down our play sessions to upload to YouTube because I think you all would enjoy them because we are the worst band of heroes you could possibly imagine. Not in character, but just as players, because most of us have not played any D&D, no knowledge of like fun little tricks. We're all really discovering it for the first time. So lots of little like hidden mechanics that we just straight up don't know. So we're going to look like idiots, and that I think is going to be the fun of it. So either way, let's get to the Q&A. Apologies if I rush through it again because it is late and there are other things I want to work on before I go to sleep. So thank you to our sponsors over on Patreon for supporting. They don't have to, they choose to. All my content is available for free on YouTube, or, you know, I live stream over on Twitch as well. So yeah, thank you to anyone who's actually subscribed over there. And thank you to the other sponsors and affiliate links we have in the description. Green Man Gaming, save you money on pre-ordering games. Starfield is on there. Armored Core is on there. You can pre-order Armored Core at a discount with Green Man Gaming, and they're an official retailer, so that's not like a secondhand code or anything like that. Steel Series, of course. Do I even need to tell you? I probably should talk about Steel Series more. I should probably make videos about them a little bit, even when they don't do new products, just because why not? You know, everyone I know has loved them when I've talked about it. And of course, Advanced GG with the 10% discount code on that as well. So with that, let's get to the Q&A. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey Haps, hi. If you could choose any character from side content to join the main cast in Dawn Trail, who would you choose and why? You know, it's funny, Erenville would have been my answer. I was really hoping, even before 6.4, that Erenville was going to be joining us on an adventure and be more important somewhere in the future. I still always want Gaius to come back and have a more direct implementation. This isn't really where I would have wanted that though. In the past, I also would have said Estinian, but you know, he's kind of part of the crew now. So I don't know, maybe Sid and Nero. I think I kind of want Sid and Nero to come back into the MSQ limelight a good bit more. We have had them on occasion throughout different parts of, like, you know, Shadowbringers and Endwalker. Like we go to them for things on occasion, but I would like them to be like long-term around us again. Just because I love the dynamic, the kind of married couple vibes that you get from Sid and Nero, and I'm always entertained by them. So, you know, consequentially, I would like them to be around more. So that's going to be my answer, is the Sid and Nero combo. Hashtag Mondays with Mr. Happy. Hi. Hope your week is going well. We have Armored Core in a few days. Damn right we do. I have two questions. My first is, we've had plenty of quality of life features and updates throughout the 10 years. What is something they've added that has been your favorite? It's actually really tough to nail it down because it's hard to remember when we didn't have things, and the retro series has been kind of gradually reminding me of that, actually. I don't know. I know my biggest disappointment is the duty recorder from a personal note, but as for my favorite, that's tough because we've just gotten so many things that I've asked over the years, and I really remember the things we don't have a lot better. Having more markers is more like one really simple one that we've gotten. Even just the ability to have the macros per character and the shared macros is really nice. The ability to back up your character information so that you have a backup in case you install on a new machine. That's really nice as well. I wish you could kind of just send your hotbars between characters without doing the whole folder thing, you know, you can do on your actual like desktop. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things, so it's really hard for me to nail one down. And the other question, what's something you're looking forward to the most in the upcoming expansion that we know of so far? I'm always a fan of just more Final Fantasy XIV because I love Final Fantasy XIV, and I always just want to experience it more, and I want reasons to invite more of my time into, you know, spending it in Final Fantasy 14. It's why having like not the most interesting relic grind, you know, I feel that a little bit more because that's, you know, especially in Shadowbringers, I got to spend so much time making Gil and handling events with my community and doing speed kills for things like Delubrum Normal and the Savage Prog. Like there were so many aspects of it that ended up being like tangential to the relic grind that I just got so much mileage out of it. So I'm actually, I guess my answer would be whatever. For now, I guess Deep Dungeon's one of the answers, but they have mentioned looking into an exploratory content, but that's not confirmed at this point. So if they were to do an exploration content, as they're discussing, they might be, as they're talking about where to go if they do it, that would probably be the answer. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Happy. Hi. Hope you're doing well. Same with you. Now that we're further out from 16, I was hoping to get your take on the game as a whole. Maybe some things you enjoyed and some things you didn't. Pieces of the game you might like them to keep for future installments or ones you hope remain 16 exclusive. I loved Final Fantasy 16 as a whole, but that's because I was super invested in the characters and the world, and I feel like that was the game's strongest point. Even a lot of the side characters I absolutely fell in love with throughout their maybe a little bit too tedious side quest chains. That being said, I think the lack of exploration, and I don't mean the zone design, I mean the reward structure of exploring wasn't very satisfying. You know, finding a new item wasn't very exciting. And also the messed up difficulty and scoring in arcade mode, another big thing. I think they went a little too easy with the chronolith trials. I think they could have done a lot more with those as well. So there's like things that I guess I wish were expanded upon or more thorough, that weren't just the core of the game itself, which was playing through the story and the customization and the combat flow and all that stuff. That being said, it's probably going to be in like my top 4, top 5 of Final Fantasy games somewhere. I'm waiting a little bit longer and maybe waiting to replay through some of the ones on the top of my list again, you know, post count up, post 16 release to really say for certain where it belongs. But there were more things that I liked than didn't like, and the things I didn't like didn't really take away from the things I did like. I just wish they were better, so the game could have been kind of like the perfect storm for me. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hello, Mr. Happy. Hi. Hope you and the cats are doing well. Yeah, they look to be doing well, based on how Ivy's going back there. Recently cleared Uwu and T and will be starting DSR soon. Bless your soul. Really enjoy the ultimates in this game. The next one that's coming out will be the first one I'll have a chance to participate in. Day one, my question for you is if you have any theories on what will be in this ultimate and how it will be set up. Think they'll do another what-if scenario like DSR, something completely different. If they do Stormblood MSQ as the theme, which, given their track record up to now, would be the next thing, meaning Shinryu Ultimate would be the next one, they are going to have to what-if that. Because I don't think there's a universe where they can even make Shinryu Ultimate work without giving us a big what-if scenario. Like, what if Shinryu had defeated Omega, you know, at the end of the Heavensward MSQ to bring in Stormblood? And then what if Shinryu continued to gather Ether and then Xeno took over? Like, I think that's the only way Shinryu happens, because otherwise I would love to see the Four Lords. And I think that even though we've never had an actual trial series be an ultimate, that would be where I'd like to see them pivot to if they aren't going to do Shinryu. So, yeah, but I think they're going to find a way to make Shinryu work. And I think Shinryu as an iconic figure in Final Fantasy as a whole deserves it, like Omega did. It's just our story of him is kind of tough unless you include all the way through to Endwalker, and that's a whole nother story, literally. Hashtag Mr. Happy Monday. Hey, Haps. Hi. Hope you've had a swell week. Swell week. Anyway, I haven't asked anything in a good while, so I have a bonus of never having to hear the phrase necromancer job ever again, but you just said it. My question is, do you think we'll ever see the return of older collaboration events such as 11 and 13 between the new ones? They weren't really anything special, but it'd be nice to see them return. No. So there are 2 Final Fantasy XI events. One of them, the Shantotto one, you will probably never see return. The Iroha one, absolutely. The main reason why those won't return, including the Final Fantasy XIII one, the items are available on the Mog Station. So they don't want people who spent money on those to get them because the event wasn't coming back and then announced the event does come back and people are mad because they spent money on those items. They're not going to deal with that. Same with the Shantotto one, which I think the Shantotto items are on the Mog Station. My memory might be wrong on that, but if they are, then yeah, they'll never bring that back. Any of the events that weren't on the Mog Station, you may see come back, but not those ones in particular. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hey, Happy. Hi. Hope you're well. You too. Apologies if this is a bit long. It fits on the screen, so it should be fine. Appreciate the response to my question about Overworld Content 14, though I did want a follow-up question to it. Okay. Before that, though, I wanted to mention that what mainly made me wonder about it with regards to the new battle content 7.0 is that now they've implemented harder 4-man dungeon content, kind of having a difficult time coming up with yet another form of new instance content. I mean, all you have to ever do is change the rules. That's it. You don't have to have anything like crazy, unique, or interesting. You just need to change the rules. Like, Deep Dungeon is 1 to 4 players. Variant is 1 to 4 players with the actions. And then Criterion has the Criterion raise and the death penalty, and Savage has the... It's literally just about changing the core rules with which we operate under. I mean, even just looking at stuff like exploration content, like Delubrum Savage, all of those are drastically different in terms of what the player is capable of, even if the core gameplay is still Final Fantasy XIV. So I would really look to those types of things. So that's why you started thinking of the Overworld. With that said, one thing I've seen some 11 players theorize has to do with some similarities they found with where we're going in Dawn Trail and the Mammal Jaw. Apparently, there's a form of battle content in the game that were related around the Mammal Jaw called, Besieged. Seems that people wonder if they may implement something similar. So let me paint a picture for you. Besieged was a piece of content where you were defending the capital city of Ot-Urgan, Al-Zabi, from beastmen hordes. There were 3 different beastmen, the Undead Horde, the Mammal Jaw, and the Trolls. And they would gradually build up their armies and attack. And if they stole the Astral Candescence, which was kind of like the main centerpiece and the main power point of the Empire, they would retreat with it, and players would have to go dive deep into the enemy strongholds to not only get the Astral Candescence, but also rescue any NPCs that they had managed to capture in the meantime. And until they were returned to the city, you couldn't do certain quests, you couldn't access certain features, etc., etc. It was a shit show. It still is a shit show to this day, especially because it was 700 people crammed in one zone on a game where none of the enemies would load properly. You would just die without knowing how. The damage values were too insane. They tried to... Initially, they released it, and it was way too easy. Then they buffed it, and it was like it would last a while, but then people started using it just for skill ups and just not really trying to win all that hard. And even if you did, it was still kind of really annoying to do because, again, you could just die for no reason without really even knowing why. So it was all sorts of problems with it that didn't work. And in 14, could they do it where it's like an 8-player defense of an area? Sure. I mean, we have that in like Guild Hests, but it wouldn't be a piece of content that I would be rooting for. And I don't think that's the direction they're going to go. Obviously, I can't say anything for certain, but I don't think that's the direction. Also, the Mammal Jaw coexist in Dawn Trail. Like, they don't just... Like, we see them in cities where, it's just... You even see Estinian playing with Mammal Jaw children, like, friendly. So, I don't know, it'd be kind of weird to even have it that way, Real quick, there were a couple of questions I just want to speed through. One asked what I thought Aaronville's role was going to be, and I don't know. I think he's just going to be our guide, but I don't think he's going to have like a Graha level role, for example. And another one asked that if they removed the potency from the positionals, if they would compensate by like just raising the potency of the skills. It's completely irrelevant because the game will be based around whatever numbers they decide to incorporate, which will be balanced as they go. So it's a non-factor. It's like asking if I'll be weaker without my belt. Like that question when we got rid of belts. It's the same idea. It's like, no, the game is just balanced around what we do have. So it's like, you wouldn't be nerfed by not having positionals. You know what I mean? So hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. What's up, Haps? Hi. Hope the days are going well. Yeah, they're going well for the most part. Quick question. When an enemy cast places an AoE ground circle around the player, is the damage calculated once the circle appears or once the cast finishes? Sorry if this is worded weirdly. So this actually is different on a case-to-case basis. It's very annoying. Most of the time, it will be on the end of the cast. But that is not 100% of the time. I wish I had a better answer for you, but unfortunately, it's not one of the things that's most consistent. Hashtag Marvelous Magnificent Mondays with Mr. Happy. You have a very different Monday than most people. Hey, yo, Haps. Hi. And a handful of extra hellos in case we missed more this week. Well, hopefully nobody misses any. On your topic last week of not selecting abilities when leveling, that made me wonder when we progress through each new expansion that new jobs release 20 levels below cap, the new job will get their raid utility closer to the level cap. With that being said, and how 14 is currently revolving around the 2-minute meta, do you foresee an issue arising with newer jobs not having specific abilities when sinking down? I mean, look at Reaper in UCOB. It's awful. Now, it's not like it doesn't do enough damage or anything. You literally only have 1, 2, 3, and like your soul gauge spender, like Gibbet and Gallows. And that's it. You don't have anything else on Reaper. Now, again, that doesn't make them not good there, but oh, is it not a fun experience at the end of the day? I think that's gonna, yeah, I think that's gonna continue to happen. And I think they really need to consider what it looks like at 70 at the very least. I think like that's the level range they really need to consider the overall functionality of, because we do not want a job that looks weirder than Reaper in UCOP. Quick lightning round question before this. Someone asked if I wondered if any other role actions other than True North I would remove, because, yeah, we were talking about getting rid of positionals. And the only answer I really had was Repose, but honestly, I think Repose should stay in the game because the few places where it's useful are amazing. So do not remove that. So I didn't have an answer, so I just decided to move on. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, Haps. Hi. Gonna lead with a yes. I would watch the crap out of a second channel. Okay, so I'm gonna give you guys some insight as a creator. A lot of people say that. I genuinely don't advise people to take statements like that and use it to make decisions. Like, it is nice to read as a creator. I was like, oh, I'm glad somebody says that they would do that. But more often than not as a creator, when you suggest an idea to your community and the yeses you get, there's validation there, but it's usually a smaller subset of people. So every decision that you make when you do this kind of full time normally needs to be somewhat calculated based on experience and planning. Like, obviously, if I'm going to divulge time into a second channel, it means this channel can't receive the same amount of attention, may have a drop in quality, etc., etc. If the other channel exists, and I'm glad that I have it and it's separated things so that the algorithm doesn't mess with things, the time it's taking away from one channel may not necessarily be worth having the second channel for. So that's why that's not like a guaranteed like yes. It's why it's only ever a thought, because things like that, you know, when you do this full time like I do, they have to go through your head, because time is precious at the end of the day. So that's why I don't think I'll do that, but it's always kind of like an option that's on the table. Like I said, the only thing right now I really want, I think some people may have misunderstood. I don't really want an editor so much as I need someone that literally just uploads my stuff from Twitch to YouTube, titles it, schedules it, and it's done. Like, no editing at all. And I actually think I'm going to reach into my Discord, because I had some people volunteer for that in my Twitch community, and I think I should probably follow up at this point, because there's no editing there. Like, that's complete trust in that regard. As for my question, I ended up a healer for T-Prog somehow. It's wild, but I'm having a great time, and I love Sage. I know this is a Mr. Happy said, but a while ago I heard you saying they would add T-weapons for Reaper and Sage. So it's not T-weapons for Reaper and Sage. They openly stated that they understand there's a demand for weapons for new jobs from old ultimates. That's UCOB, that's T, that's UWU, that's eventually going to be DSR and Top. But they've done nothing with it since. And I'm still upset, because I'm holding on to totems in case they do, in case I really like the weapons. And there's just been no sign of it. So until they decide to finally tell us about it again, then, you know, we're just kind of operating in the dark here. Hashtag Mr. Happy Mondays. Hi, hello, and well met. I hope everything is going well. Same for all of those to you. Now that Dawn Trail is on the horizon, I was wondering, when would we start hearing about job and system changes? Oh, you won't hear about this until like a month before Dawn Trail. You might get sprinklings of something at the next several fan fests and live letters, or any live letter that's specifically about Endwalker. It's possible, but it would be like, you know how like a part 1 live letter, they go like, oh, we're going to be doing this, but we'll talk about that next live letter. That's kind of like the extent of it. It's really, they want to do it as close to the finished job changes as they can have, because otherwise it's a bit preemptive to say that they are doing something or they're planning. Like they just want to play it close to like as close to the release date as possible. So you won't hear about that for a very long time. Before I answer this question, there was a question about handling taxes for a GoFundMe. Someone who is, you know, currently dealing with the situation over in Hawaii. And I didn't want to offer a direct answer to the question. My condolences, and I'm glad to hear that you're safe and doing better with the GoFundMe. But I do not want to give tax information. My mother went and saw a tax professional. I'm not going to tell you what... I'm not going to try to regurgitate things that are from memory of almost a year ago when there are professionals who better understand that. I think it would be irresponsible of me to be the one to give you that advice. So I'm just putting this here before we go to the next question, because that to me is I think a safer thing to do, but wishing you the best all the same. Hashtag happier with Mr. Mondays. Hi, Haps. Hi. Glad to see the fitness stuff has been making you feel happy. Yeah, we're doing good. I hit a bit of a plateau, but I'm working through it because I just got into an actual like gym with good equipment and not like my buildings gym, which is very limited equipment. So, you know, I've been seeing the strength gains go up, and that's really what I'm focusing on is the strength gains at the moment. So that's been good. 2 questions on the last Q&A, Q7A. Hey, listen, Q&A, no, I know, just shift key. You said you could basically play any role at endgame except for tank. Do you find the tank role to be too boring in its current state, or is there another reason? So here's the thing. If the way I look at it as, if I'm going to play DPS, whatever, I'll pick a DPS from each role and I'll be good at it. Tank and healer, I treat as one kind of support role. And if I have to choose which of them I'm going to play, it's going to be healer. Just because if I'm going to be the person responsible, I want to be in the position of what I feel is the greatest power. And me as a healer, I'm not like a god tier healer, but I trust myself to keep everyone alive and damage as many GCDs as I can. Whereas as a tank, I'm going to feel like I'm contributing and doing my job, and it's an important job, but it's not going to, I don't ever feel like I'll be the difference maker in that role. And that's not as attractive of an option to me. So that's why I specifically avoid tank. I also don't find it that exciting, but I mean, if I need to play warrior for something, I don't mind. And I like paladin. It's just not the role I really want to be. Like, I'm the kind of paladin who wouldn't hesitate to clemency people because that's the kind of power I want. If that's the case, might as well play healer. Second question, what major job role mechanic do you miss having in the game and why? Nothing. There's not really a thing I miss from the old days that isn't a specific jobs gameplay mechanic. Like, honestly, I still think Caster Machinist was perfectly fine. I think Caster Bard was a little silly. It was strong, but I think Caster Machinist was really, really good. And I like Current Machinist, but it's things like that I think of as like, oh, you know, Stormblood era this and Heavensward era that and Shadowbringers era this. But about specific jobs, I think the only thing is just, I think I will speak against is the 2-minute meta and how strict it is now. I think that's been very unhealthy for the game, and I've said that a million times. All right, I know we're not that far into the video, but like I said, my schedule's a little tight this evening, so I'm going to lightning round the rest of this. I know it's kind of lazy, I apologize, but like I really got to get going. It's like 9 p.m. right now, and there's other things I need to do before I go to bed. And so there was a question here where someone says there's a welcome back campaign. The Voracious Resurgence storyline has been completed. You're planning to finish the videos for that. I don't even remember where I left off. Maybe I have it all written down, but I haven't finished Voracious Resurgence myself, so I have to do that first as well. Then there was a question, what destinations would I recommend in Japan? When I visited Japan, it was on Square Enix's dollar. So I went where they told me to go. So I'm unfortunately not well enough equipped to tell you what to see and where to go. I will say this. Guaranteed stop at a convenience store because you will not be disappointed. You have to go to like a 7-Eleven or a Lawson's or something. What happened to Hesperos as a character? He killed himself. I had that same question. I was like, what happened to him? No, yeah, he kills himself in P4. So he's dead. That's what happened to him. I keep hearing buzz about them getting rid of positionals. Yeah, there's no like, they haven't said that. We just suspect it. It's like a widely suspected thing because there's barely any positionals in the game. They've already pruned most positionals out, and they keep designing encounters as if there were no positionals. So they're kind of just pointless at this point. Let's see. Then this one had 2 questions. So this is another potency related question. I feel like I answered that adequately enough before. What do you think will realistically change about Dragoon? I think that maybe jump will be on a GCD. But other than that, I think it's just going to be a lot of pruning back a lot of the skills that they've gotten. I think the combo aspect would be good to keep, but I don't know that they will. They might focus more on the jumping aspect of it. And hopefully in the process, they make jumps entirely, like not clunky. That would be like the big dream to have with that. Then there was waiting for Armored Core 6. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I'm sorry, but there's a question that's like 1 billion years long. I can't do that right now. It's about the 2-minute meta. I'm sorry, I can't do that one right now. Playing on my first count up, including doing 1 through 5 for the first time. Nice. What recommendations would you have for a first time playthrough of Final Fantasy 1 PR? I would recommend not taking recommendations because I'm going to influence your gameplay. My gameplay knowledge is so vast and in-depth about those games. I can only force you to think about them in the most optimal ways and not about the experience of exploring the game and having fun with it and figuring out any secrets and then researching after the fact. I recommend playing through and then after the fact looking for those fun little things. That way it's a more organic experience. Let's see. Do you think the next expansion will hear about the Dawn Father and Aura lore? No, I think that's really just more stuff that references back to the 12 and how their influence was understood across the world differently. Do you have to binge play the 100+ hours for BG3 in one go through? I'd have to be able to sit down and do it for like a week, because if I don't, I'm just never going to go back and finish it. Be really weird to play 100+ hours and somehow not just die, but you know. What's it called? Is it likely the reason Alphino is not shown in the trailer because he had his growth spurt? No, because if he had a growth spurt, Alice would have had a growth spurt, and we see her. So no, I just think they just didn't have him in there. I mean, they just think they just didn't focus on him at all for whatever reason. Got married and disappointed with the customization options. Feels like the price for 2 platinum bonding package has been, there would have been more. Oh, you just had a comment. Well, I mean, yeah, the wedding is there. You're really just paying for the mount with the platinum package more than anything. I was telling my friend my character's eyes are reference to Cloud's Mako eyes, and she said, who's Cloud? Ever met anyone who's only played 14 and not any other Final Fantasies? Like 30-40% of the people I know in Final Fantasy 14 have not played other Final Fantasy games. Like, in fact, probably more than that. Yeah, there's a lot of them. Why the heck does P12S have tentacles? Because somebody's really into some stuff in the community, in the dev team. That's why. Have you ever played either of the 2 Destiny games? Yeah, I played Destiny 1, didn't like it. Gunplay was fun, but the actual content structure I could tell was like doomed. It was something I could tell I was going to complain about, like well before anything else even came out. Like I already did complain about Vault of Glass, I think, being in a super lame raid, but I could just tell, especially as more time went on, that I was just going to be actively complaining about the state of the game. Like 14, I actively complain about, like when there's things I don't like, but there are things I do like. Destiny, I don't think that would have happened, so I just stayed away from it. I think though I'm glad there are so many people that do enjoy it. Like I don't want people to not enjoy it. I think it's just one of those things where you honestly look at it and go, not for me, and then you move on. Let's see. Was there a new Final Fantasy online game being worked on? No. I mean, yeah, it's always possible, but they have 3 MMOs between 11, 14, and Dragon Quest X, and there's no point in adding another MMO to the market to actively compete with your existing MMOs, especially one as big as 14. Like, there's just no point in doing that. So they're probably maybe more live service games, but I think even that they've kind of started dipping away from, because they've basically failed every live service game they've tried other than, you know, the MMOs. So probably not the best idea. Hey there, let's see. You're interested in Payday 3? You know, I actually think Payday's cool, but I prefer to watch Payday stuff on YouTube because there's massive shenanigans. Really fun game, and I hope that one turns out as good as Payday 2 did. Let's see. There's another one. Then this one's talking about the number of hours to get through the game and if they're going to prune it down. Well, we already talk about the fact that they might allow you to start the story in 6.1. They are working on it. They said that by 7.0, they might have the option to start the game from 6.1, just like as an option, you know, not as a, you know, you paid for a skip kind of situation. So yeah, it's entirely possible that they'll have something like that. What's wrong with Abysso 6 and 7? They're horrible. They're just really bad. They're just really, really lame. They're not very interesting. They're not very fun. They're just not good. They're just not good at all. And I think that might be, well, it's definitely not the last one, but it's not very many left. What are your thoughts on a strictly bow gun class with no buff aspect? Well, a crossbow. I mean, they can do whatever they want. I mean, I would love a crossbow or some sort of other gun type that isn't the same as the machine gun. Like, yeah, sure. But what I think is irrelevant, because it's a matter of what they'll do. And minimum, you're going to have something like Tactician or, you know, a Troubadour, you know, one of those. So you're going to have something, but they're not going to take an existing weapon and make a new job with it. If they were up to them, Scholar and Summoner wouldn't even be connected at the hip like they are through Arcanist. So yeah, that's probably not going to happen. Long wall of text. Sorry, wow, your long wall of text is not that good. Why do people think exploration content such as Bojin and Eureka is good content for the Relic? So it's easy to group up with and do with lots of friends all at once. You can progress on multiple relics and multiple objectives at the same time if you're someone who really likes doing more than one. And it has multi-purpose functions that involve it with other aspects of the game, such as being able to collect the actions, earn gear, earn bonus rewards through things like the chest. the exploration content on its own shines quite well. Most of the boss fights are fairly interesting in there. We have the bonus 24 and 48 player raids. We have these more interesting storylines that take place over a wider period of time. It takes longer, so you get to play the game for longer. And even then, if you don't like certain aspects, as long as you progress the story, you can then also do relic aspects outside of those things as well. So the big thing is lots of options, lots of simultaneous progress at the same time, new functions altogether, such as the duel feature and some of the bosses and the in-instance raid, which is kind of like an evolution of the Baldessian arsenal. And all that stuff comes together into something that's far more involved, far more long-term, something that players can really sink their teeth into for more than, hey, I have 1,500 tomes, I'm done, and I only wanted to make one relic. So way more, hey, we actually want you to play the game than anything else. And I think that might be it. Oh, there's one here. Didn't expect such a casually eloquent refutation against the entire concept of free will. Illusion of choice. The only real choice is to look up a guide. Yeah, that's it. It's just, there's no point in giving you a choice when at the end of the day, you don't actually have one. When it comes to selecting your skills, because if you don't pick the exact ones that the community has deemed correct, then you're just wasting your own time and everyone else's time, because you're going to get kicked from groups, you're going to get removed from groups, people will leave your groups if you try to make them, and if they don't and then they notice what you're doing, you're just actively griefing them by playing worse. So you're just going to Google the correct thing to do anyway, so what's the fucking point? Anyway, that's going to be a wrap for this week's episode of Mondays with Mr. Happy. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you have a question, ask it in the comments section of the video below. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share. And I will see all of you in next week's Q&A. Until then, thank you for watching, and I bid you adieu. Bye-bye.